Have you ever seen something at work that just didn't feel right, but you hesitated to say anything? Yeah, it's a situation so many people face. So today, we're going to break down an international standard designed to solve that exact problem, ISO 37002. It's basically a global guide for creating systems where people can speak up safely. Okay, let's get into it.
But hey, before we jump into the solution, we really have to understand the problem. So let's start with this big question. When people in a company see wrongdoing and just stay quiet, what's the actual cost? I mean, it's not just about a guilty conscience. The impact can literally ripple through the entire organization, messing with everything from the finances to just, the overall morale.
And, the real reason for this silence, it's not that people don't care. It's fear. A very real and, let's be honest, a very understandable fear of what might happen if you actually report something. I mean, try to put yourself in their shoes. For a potential whistleblower, the personal and professional risks can feel absolutely huge. The fear of retaliation, of being labeled a troublemaker, or even losing your job. That's a powerful reason to stay silent. This is the massive barrier that any good system has to break down. And you know what? The standard actually has a name for this fear: detrimental conduct. It's not just some vague idea. It's defined as any action, or even an inaction, that could harm the person speaking up. We're talking about everything from getting fired or demoted to more subtle stuff like harassment or getting blacklisted in your industry. Naming the threat is the first step to fighting it. So how in the world do organizations tackle this kind of deep-seated fear? Well, this is where ISO 37002 comes in. The best way to think of it is like an international playbook for building a safe and effective whistleblowing system. Now, this isn't some law that you have to follow. It's more like a set of expert-developed guidelines that any organization, public, private, big, or small, can use. You can use it to build a system from scratch or just to make the one you already have better. It's a blueprint for doing things the right way. And this whole blueprint, this entire framework, really rests on three simple but incredibly powerful principles. If you get these, you pretty much get the whole standard.
Okay, first up, trust. And we're not just talking about a warm, fuzzy feeling here. This means creating an environment where people genuinely believe their reports will be taken seriously, that they'll be handled confidentially, and that the system is there to help, not to punish. Without trust, the whole thing is just an empty process.
Second, we've got impartiality. This one's huge. It means the process has to be fair and objective for absolutely everyone involved. The people who manage the reports can't have any conflicts of interest. Their only goal is to find the facts, not to protect certain people. And finally, protection. This one ties right back to that fear we were talking about at the start. The system has to have real, concrete measures in place to protect whistleblowers from that detrimental conduct. It's all about making sure that doing the right thing doesn't end up ruining someone's career. But look, these principles, they don't just magically appear out of thin air, right? The standard is super clear that creating a trustworthy system has to be a deliberate effort, and it absolutely has to start with the organization's leadership. It has to come from the top. So what does that actually look like? Well, it means leaders have to publicly and constantly support the system. It means there has to be a clear, easy-to-find policy, specific people who are assigned to manage it, and enough resources, time, money, and staff to do the job right. And maybe most importantly, everyone in the company needs to be trained on how it all works and why it matters. And listen to this. There's a quote right from the standard that really hits the nail on the head. The point isn't just about catching bad behavior after it's already happened. The real goal is to build so much trust that people feel comfortable coming forward early, before little problems turn into massive crises. All right, so we've got the principles, we've got the foundation of trust, but what about the how? Like what actually happens when a report comes in? Well, the standard breaks down the practical side into a really clear 4-step life cycle for handling any report. So it all starts with step 1, receiving a report through channels that are secure and easy to access. Then, step 2, that report gets assessed to figure out how serious and credible it is. Step 3 is all about addressing it, which might mean a full-blown investigation to get to the facts. And finally, step 4, every single case has to be formally concluded, with actions taken and the case closed, so there's a real sense of resolution. And this slide really shows that principle of impartiality in action.
During that addressing phase, the system actually has two big jobs. It has to protect the whistleblower from any kind of payback, for sure, but it also has to protect the person being accused, making sure they're treated fairly, presumed innocent until proven otherwise, and have a chance to tell their side of the story. So, after all this process and policy, let's be real, what's the actual payoff? Why should a company go to all this trouble? Well, the benefits go way, way beyond just checking some compliance box. Because at the end of the day, a well-run whistleblowing system is so much more than a risk management tool. It's actually a culture-building tool. It sends a really powerful message that the organization is serious about its values and is actually willing to listen to its people. And the tangible benefits, they're huge. As the standard points out, organizations can spot problems before they explode, prevent financial losses, make sure they're following the law, and even attract and keep great employees who value integrity. It's just a clear signal of strong ethical leadership to the whole world. So when you boil it all down, that's what this is all about. ISO 37002 is a roadmap for moving away from a culture of silence and fear and moving toward one where openness, integrity, and accountability are just how things are done, for everyone, from the very top all the way down. And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about: your own workplace. Is it a place where speaking up is genuinely encouraged and protected, or is silence the safer bet? The answer to that question, well, it tells you everything you need to know about an organization's real culture.